Hello, my lovely audience. Welcome to another video. Now, this is the third time I have tried to record this, so without further ado, necessary links in the description. Thought potatoes kinda pushing this series forwards, as you would say, with their biology videos. So, let's get on with the what if. Also, by the way, before we start, really quick, I just realized how similar this quirk is to the Flood, from Halo. Just in case anyone didn't realize that, the dramatic reconstruction of the body, the fact that it guarantee infects. Yeah, quite the similar thing to the Flood. So then, let's get on with the video. Now, this takes place when Izuku is about 8. He wants to go to the museum, but he cannot. He has a long sleeve shirt, very long sleeve for his age. He actually pulled it off a homeless person that he killed and ate. Give me a moment. Yeah. So, his cheeks aren't, his cheeks aren't sunken anymore. You can still see his ribs, and malnutrition is still rather visible on his body. Along with that, he has knee-high shorts. Also thinks he pulled off a homeless man, and that he just kind of rips up a bit so it would fit him. So he's standing out of the museum wanting to go inside, but he knows he can't because he doesn't have the money. The Midoriya family would just kind of walk by him, not really paying any attention to him, kind of looking the other way, acting like they don't know him. Oh, and in this what if, I'm giving Izuku an extra sister. Yeah, so he has, 2 sisters. Izumi and Izuka. Yeah. So, that night, Izuku would decide to break into the place. So that's what he would do. He would have Henry cut the power lines. He would sneak in through the back, see a pharaoh coffin, pharaoh's coffin casket thing. It has mushrooms growing on it. He's looking at it wow, it's so cool. A bunch of guys would just walk out of nowhere. One would go, alright, boss. There's the pharaoh. We can just take it and leave. The boss, who's bald and has an eye patch, Nick Fury style. Well, if he was white and Asian. Imagine white Asian Nick Fury. Yeah. So, he would say, there's a child there. I'm just gonna call him One Eye, because white Asian Nick Fury is kinda long. So, yeah, One Eye. I'm calling him One Eye. His quirk is that he can communicate to animals. He has a coyote named Rex with a skin disease, which has its hair falling out and weird clumps of flesh growing on it. Fucking weird thing. One Eye would make the brilliant idea of taking Izuku with them, because the person they're gonna sell the pharaoh, the dead pharaoh to, would probably pay a decent amount of money for a slave or something like that. Along with that, in case they get caught, they can use Izuku as their ransom to get out. And if all that fails, they can just kill him and leave him in a ditch. So, yeah. Just of benefit to take Izuku. So, he would order one of his grunts, his goons named Fred, to go attack Izuku. He would, run up to Izuku with a metal pipe and hit him over the head. Izuku would get hit in the head. Blood would kind of drip out the side of his head. it would kind of squirt out because of, well, Izuku's unusually high blood pressure due to his MPM cells. Yeah, I'm renaming them from MAM cells to MPM because monster pathogen maker. Yeah, just kind of, monster pathogen maker. It's a better abbreviation, MPM. So Zuko would lunge forward and bite Fred on the forearm, drawing blood. One Eye would command Rex to bite Izuku, so Rex would run up to Izuku and bite him in the shoulder, having Izuku's blood splatter all over Pharaoh's casket. Izuku, at this point, would pass out. Yeah, he would pass out from, he's a child. He's like 8 and severely and is going through severe malnutrition. But Izuku would tell Henry not to follow him, not to save him, before he passes out. Psychically, he would tell Henry not to follow them, not to save him. Just stay in the city. Izuku will come back to him because Izuku can feel his cells, his MPM cells, have infected Rex the dog and Fred the random guy. So, they take the Pharaoh's casket, Pharaoh's casket and Izuku. They open it to see if the Pharaoh's actually in there. It is. Remember how I mentioned, the mushrooms that were growing on it? Yeah, that's going to be important later, but some blood would drip into the Pharaoh's mouth, some of Izuku's blood. Give me a moment. So, yeah. Time skip 24 hours later. Fred and Rex have entered a semi-coma-like state where their bodies have... Yeah, they've entered a coma-like state, and, well, their heartbeats have begun slowing. They entered a coma-like state, except they're still moving around and twitching. It looks like whatever's happening hurts a lot. When, One Eye asked Izuku about this, he just said, "They'll wake up soon, don't worry." He would make up some lie about his quirk being a paralysis quirk of any of his bodily fluids. Just, puts things in a coma for 48 hours. This is an obvious lie, but One Eye buys it. So, time skip. 48 hours. After this time, Fred and Rex, their bodies have entirely stopped moving. Their heartbeats have once again stopped. Their bodies, and well, they've gone cold. Well, One Eye hasn't noticed this because he hasn't checked on them. So, Izuku would feel Rex, the Pharaoh, and One Eye becoming viable. What this means is they've majority, the MPM cells have done up. They've reached stage 1 of infection. Just sort of the period that, Izuku can gain control over them. The period where they wake up. They're viable now. So, yeah. By the way, Rex is in a cage, and he has a blanket over him so no one can see what he looks like. This is important. So, yeah. Anyway, Izuku would get up, his foot chained to the side of the truck they are in. He would get up and slowly push open the Pharaoh's coffin. One Eye would say, "Can someone get the kid to sit down and stop squirming? What you planning to do, annoy us to death?" One Eye would quickly be mistaken when the Pharaoh would lunge out of the coffin and bite him in the shoulder. One Eye, who's panicking, would swerve the car into a tree, causing it to crash. One Eye would wake up. Like 20 minutes later, he would see the Pharaoh eating a guy named Tony's spine, specifically the spine. He's beginning to freak out. Like, this thing's supposed to be dead. So he would see the silhouette of a dog in, well, the snow. They're currently in the snowy countryside. He would see the silhouette of a dog in the snow, and he would whistle and say, "Come here, Rex, I need your help. Sick him." He would gesture to the Pharaoh. Rex wouldn't respond, but then Rex would say, "MPM, Stage 1, complete. Necessary biological functions. Feed." What do you mean, Rex? Locating nearest target. Rex's head would turn to, well, face. One eye can't see that much of Rex, other than, well, his body is more slumped and hyena-like. He has sharp, bone-like protrusions coming out of his spine like spikes, and Rex's eyes are entirely white. In a burst of abnormal speed, caused by improved amounts of twitch muscle inside of Rex, at about, fast twitch muscle, not slow twitch, fast twitch. Due to this increased amount of fast twitch muscle, Rex would burst at incredible... Give me a moment. Hi, I'm back. Yeah. In a burst of incredible abnormal speed, Rex would sprint at One Eye and bite him in the throat. One Eye would be shocked and stunned by this. He would feel a large amount of agony in his throat, but something's weird. He feels like he should be feeling more pain. Almost like Rex is beginning to develop a pain-numbing agent in his saliva, which he is. As an emotion similar to breathing, making a low pressure in your mouth, then a high pressure. Low pressure to suck the blood into the mouth, high pressure to suck it down the throat. He would start sapping One Eye of blood. One Eye would begin trying to, break free, but Rex would scratch him and hold him down. Rex is abnormally strong. You would see Fred begin twitching as he would gesture for him to help. But Fred would turn to look at him. Fred's pupils and irises, just like Rex's, are completely white. Rex would begin shambling to a random other body who I'm not going to name, and would dig in. And this is when One Eye would pass out from blood loss. So Rex would still train him. Just, it's going to take him a couple of hours to really finish off One Eye, because, the canine stomach can only hold, 3 liters. No, 1.5 liters of blood. Especially since its intestinal tract has shortened to make, drinking blood and liquid-based diets, like drinking blood, more efficient. Yeah. Izuku would wake up and begin walking around. You would see the Pharaoh, who stopped moving entirely due to the, cold and lack of bodily nutrients in it. So it's currently busy restructuring itself, as you would say. There are there is mycelium seemingly covering its skin, you know, mushroom tubes. And well, Izuku would dig his nails into the pharaoh's side, gaining access to the Egyptian Egyptian like mummification the Egyptian mummification spores, as I shall call them. Egyptian mummification spores, or EMS. Now, I bet you're wondering, isn't the Pharaoh dead? Hasn't he been dead for hundreds of years? How is he moving? Well, the reason the Pharaoh was focusing on the spine is because the spine controls, like, involuntary functions, well, passive functions, like walking and breathing. Bet you're wondering, hey, isn't walking like an active function? No, it isn't. Well, it can be an active effort by your brain, but you know those moments when you're walking down the street and you're having a conversation and you're not focusing on your legs? Yeah, that's your spine. That's doing that. That's allowing that. So, yeah, that's why it was specifically targeting the spine. The reason it can move is because, well, the muscles of the pharaoh are so well preserved that they can be used. Also, the mycelium of the mushrooms growing inside of it are acting as both nerves and excess muscle, allowing it to move. Now, yeah, so Izuku would dig his nails into the pharaoh's neck, gaining, well, EMS, and, well, learning that the pharaoh needs somewhere moist and warm in order to, fix itself, as you would say, put itself back together properly. He would go to Fred and also dig his nails into Fred, realizing that Fred's heartbeat has stopped entirely and Fred only has blood circulation via involuntary chest contractions, chest muscle contractions. Not the most efficient. On top of that, Fred's blood has become viscous, meaning it can carry much more oxygen, but yeah, Fred's probably gonna rot away in a few months. And considering Izuku needs Fred to drive him back to the city, Izuku would use some Wendigo genes that he has, some Wendigo cells, in order to get Fred's heart beating again. So, well, his brain and body doesn't rot away. So yes, he just made a zombie that doesn't rot. Quite terrifying, isn't it? And then Rex, the Chupacabra. Zuko would go up to him, cells, blah blah blah, and he would learn, that Chupa isn't even close. Well, Rex, who Zuko is naming Chupa, well, renaming Chupa, is not even close to its final form. So, he would have Fred drive him back to the city. They would kind of attack a family, have a nice snack, drive back to the city. Anyway, so, yeah. The Pharaoh has made its home in the sewers, given that, well, that's the best environment for mushrooms to develop. It's moist, damp, and warm down there. Also, a lot of fecal matter. And we all know how useful that is for plant growth. So the Pharaoh's appearance has changed a bit. It has went from, a pharaoh walking to a pharaoh walking with mushroom offshoots that produce spores. Chupa has also begun drastically changing its size and, body muscles has increased dramatically. And, well, Fred is sentient. He can think for himself due to the fact that his heartbeat's working, but everything he does is to sate his hunger for flesh, to, well, eat. he still has that zombie directive. He just is capable of speaking and thinking. So far, Fred has attempted to make more intelligent zombies by spreading the infection, but no good. All of them don't have beating hearts, meaning that their brains decay within a few hours. Also, here's a thing that was added by Thought Potato. The zombies have increased, nervous systems. How do I explain this? The strength of their nerve cords running through their body has been increased dramatically, along with their arm and jaw muscles, giving them a bite force of 1,000 psi. With most zombies, they just shatter their teeth, but with Fred, thanks to the Wendigo genes, his mouth kind of looks like a shark's. Whenever he chomps down and breaks a tooth, it'll just fall out and be replaced by one behind it, giving him a rather creepy appearance, but it's efficient. And, well, the increased density in, nerves also gives him impressive nerve-based regeneration, meaning if you sever his spine within a mere 24 hours, he will regain the ability to walk, meaning the only proper way to kill him is decapitation. You can take away his sight, his balance, but by hitting him in certain parts of the brain, but decapitation is the best. Unless his head gets stitched back on within a 1-minute time period. Yep, takes 1 minute for him to die after being decapitated. So if you stitch his head back on during that 1 minute, sure, it may take him a day to be able to regain control of his body, but he will not die. Kinda terrifying, isn't it? So, eventually, a headless individual, as you would say, it's all for one, would catch wind of Izuku's existence, and he would kind of just kidnap him. Yep. The Wendigo is rather weak compared to some of, All for One's goons. So is Fred, and so is the Pharaoh, so is, Chupacabra. Their fatal mistake, however, was not finishing off any one of them. They kind of just batted Chupa to the side, knocked him out, cut off one of the Wendigo's arms, and as we all know, that regrows. Did the same thing with Fred, but with all of his limbs. And as we know, thanks to the Wendigo genes, he can regrow that. And with the Pharaoh, he's a mushroom man. The fuck are you gonna do to kill him? The Pharaoh had all of his organs aside from his heart ripped out, by the operators back in ancient times. So they, impaled the Pharaoh multiple times in multiple places, which should have been vital points, but thanks to the mushroom side of him, his entire body is his brain. So, no matter what you do, you can't cause him brain damage, and you can't kill him. So they just kind of left him there, impaled on a bunch of, pieces of metal. Anyway, so, yeah. All for One's ultimate goal is to have Izuku's MPM cells save him. The Wendigo's kind of regeneration is quite powerful, and if, All for One could get a stronger version of that, maybe even cellular manipulation, he would be able to fix what, All Might did to him. But here's the thing. All for One has tried to take out Izuku's cells, take out his quirk, but the MPM cells are an entirely separate entity from Izuku. His body produces them, yes, but They are a separate entity, and they line every inch of Izuku. So, think of it like Dark Shadow. Alpha One can't take Dark Shadow away from Dark Shadow. Yeah, he can't take the quirk by touching Dark Shadow. So he can't take Izuku's quirk because his MPM cells line every inch of his body, resulting in Alpha One just looking like an idiot. And when I say they are everywhere, I mean they are everywhere. He has a layer of them over his skin, under his skin, in between his skin, in his veins, around his veins, lining his veins, every inch of him. Even, like, inside of his veins, even in his bones, even every inch. Every possible place there could be MPM cells, there are. Even in his gut bacteria. They even are there, even in his gut. Alpha One cannot find one place on Izuku that's just Izuku, so he can take the quirk. So, yeah, he can't take the quirk, but he would throw Izuku in with the other Nomus, to try and get, the optimal strain, the kind of thing that could fix him. And this is where Izuku would meet a girl named Cecile. Now, she has been an interesting little creation of Alpha One's. She's been able to take up to 4 quirks from him, this being shock, immunity, hyper regeneration, super strength, and limb multiplication. Now, the reason I say shock immunity instead of shock resistance, something we'll get into soon. But the caveat of the super regeneration is that she has cancer. She has fucking throat cancer, meaning she can't really speak. Time skip. 2 years. This is when Izuku's 10. Now, with the other monsters, they have gone through some dramatic changes and are amassing quite the large amount of infected, as you would say. Their ultimate goal is to free Izuku. They know exactly where he is due to their link through the MPM cells. And well, yeah. Anyway, Cecile is on her deathbed. And I'm gonna say, in canon, she would have died before Alpha One could take the shock immunity away from her, which is why the canon Nomu only has shock resistance. So, yeah, Cecile is on a deathbed. She is dying from a throat infection. Izuku doesn't want to lose her. He doesn't want to lose his only friend, since he was kidnapped. And just so you know, Izuku is still being fed human body parts. Just like the random people Alpha One's done with and or just failed Nomus. He eats those. The people who Alpha One takes quirks from and, failed Nomus, that's what he eats. So, yeah. Cecile is dying, so Izuku would do something drastic. He would go into a cupboard, take out a needle, and drain out some of his blood. He would then jab it into one of Cecile's arteries in her neck and inject all of it. 48 hours later, Cecile has gone into the typical and usual coma caused by Izuku's quirk, and when she wakes up, she's rather different, in appearance. Her canines have enlarged, and she feels different. It seems like the combination of the cancer and Izuku's blood has resulted in a few things. First thing, Cecile, her fast twitch reflex muscles have gone from 50-50 with the slow twitch reflex muscles, 50% fast twitch, 50% slow twitch. It's gone from that to 90% fast twitch, 10% slow twitch, making her very strong and very fast. Along with that, her nerves have seemingly thickened her nerve cores, her nerve lines, making her able to, react much, much faster than the average person, and she's just much stronger, even without the super strength quirk. The super strength quirk is only adding to her physical power. Her eyes have gained an extra light cone. The average human has 3 light cones. She has 4. The 4th one picks up infrared light, meaning she can see heat signatures. Along with that, the nerves in her eyes have dramatically, and when I say dramatically, I mean dramatically improved, giving her the perception of, like, a fly. Meaning, if she wants to, the world goes in slow motion for her. And both of these things can be toggled on and off, so she isn't just living in slow motion or infrared light, she can switch it on and off. Fourth thing that's changed in her biology. Her intestinal tract has shortened, meaning she now drinks human blood in order to survive. Like a vampire, because she is one. Yep, this is a vampire, everyone. But the biggest thing that's happened, because of the cancer in her throat, she has gained complete and total control over every cell in her body. Now, this isn't a part of what Thought Potato had in mind for, vampires. They couldn't control their cells. But in this what if, thanks to the MPM cells and the cancer, she can control each individual cell, meaning she can shapeshift, regenerate from being decapitated, literally anything. On top of that, she caught some of the Wendigo strand. Give me a moment. She has got some of the Wendigo strand and the zombie strand, making her blood thicker than the average person, meaning more oxygen is carried. On top of all of that, her main weakness would have been her heart didn't beat, so she would, have that caveat that kind of levels the playing field a bit. Involuntary chest contractions, chest twitching, that would have a circulation go. No. Thanks to the Wendigo gene, which has the heart rate super high, thanks to the metabolism, which is why it worked on the zombie. Wendigo heart rate is very high. Heartbeat is a very fast thing. Thanks to the Wendigo genes. Her heart beats, meaning she is at, a different level. And she's, 10 right now, and she is, at top 50 heroes. So, Ha and Izuku are very excited about this, but they both know that this is the exact kind of strain that All for One wants. So Izuku would take some MPM cells from her, and they would both agree not to tell All for One what happened. Tell him that the MPM cells simply killed the cancer, and she's gained, super regeneration, but she can't do anything about the scar tissue. Even better regeneration. And, she's just grown stronger, essentially. That's what they're telling him. Anyway, so this part was a lot of setup. I can't wait to reveal, the monsters now, the monsters kind of final stages, as you would say. Their final stage forms. So, yeah, goodbye, my lovely, lovely audience. I hope you enjoyed. I hope to see you next time. Next part, I will be revealing the monsters' final forms, their final stages. The final stages. So, yeah. Anyway, I think the schizophrenia what if is gonna come out in 2 or 3 videos after this. If I said a what if is coming out in whatever amount of weeks, remind me in the comments. I tend to forget about these types of things, and then I'll just have recorded a video, then deleted it thinking I already posted it. So remind me in the comments, but I think the schizophrenia what if is coming in. Goodbye. Coming out in next 3 videos. Anyway, goodbye, my lovely, lovely audience. Hope you enjoyed, and hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.